Good morning, everyone. So we'll just wait a few minutes, about a minute, to let more people to come into the session. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the This Girl Invest webinar. My name is Bishala Eboren. I'm the Communications Manager at United Capital PLC and the moderator for today's discourse. This webinar is sponsored by United Capital Asset Management. And if you're not familiar, United Capital Asset Management is a subsidiary of United Capital PLC. And United Capital PLC is a leading Pan-African investment bank and financial services group. And UCAML, as we like to call it, is the second largest collective investment schemes fund manager in Nigeria. And we manage assets over 900 billion naira in terms of asset under management. So that's about United Capital Asset Management. So today's session is one that is very dear to our hearts. If you're familiar with us, we're very particular about women and financing. So today we'll be discussing women, money, and power, unlocking the wealth potential of women. And you agree with me that this is a conversation that is a must-have, especially in terms of our current economic climate. But before we get into the discourse, I would like to set a few housekeeping rules. And please note that we would love to hear your voices. We would love to hear the voices of everyone on this session, but to make sure we carry on this discourse in an orderly manner and to make sure everyone gets to share their questions, we would operate in a listen-only mode only. If you have any questions, comments, or contributions, please share them via the Q&A box or the chat box for those on Zoom, and you will see that at the bottom of your screen. And for those joining us via YouTube, you can just use the comment section, and we'll definitely get our speakers to respond to them during the Q&A segment after the discourse. That said, we have our heavyweight speakers on the call with us. Our speakers are industry leaders, they are C-suite executives, and they're thought leaders, and they have a combined experience spanning decades across financial services and other industries. So first, I would like to introduce Antoinette Edodo. She is the Chief Strategy Officer at Health Technologies. Hello, Antoinette, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. And hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time today. Thanks.
Thank you, Antoinette. Also on the call, we have Bukola James Cole. Bukola is the Director of Capital Market at Africa Prudential. Hi, Bukola.
Hello, Bisola. Thanks. And good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this session today. Look forward to a promising session. Thank you, Bisola.
Thank you, Bukola. And lastly, we have the sponsor of this session, the MD of United Capital Asset Management, Odiri Okini. How are you doing today, Odiri?
Thank you, Bisola. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for being a part of this. We look forward to an interesting conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, it's going to be an interesting session today. So we're going to start with the topic of today. We are discussing women and financing and how we can basically unlock the wealth potential of women. I assume that we have the majority of women on this call, but the men are welcome too. So first question we have is for Antoinette. And, there's a prevalent sentiment that women do not discuss financing. Women do not invest. Women avoid conversations about wealth creation. We hear that investing is a boys' club. It's only the boys that sit around and discuss money. As an active investor in the capital markets and other instruments, and you're also a practicing angel investor, what are your thoughts on this perception? And if you could indulge us, can you share your investment journey with us?
Am I audible? Thank you, Bisola. Okay. All right. So I think maybe there's three key things to just point out before I look at the journey that I've gone on. And since this is a women-focused forum, I think it would be only fair to highlight some of our superpowers. When it comes to women, we know that we're very resourceful and we have a knack for unlocking value that is not immediately apparent. So that's the thing that comes in with us when we're also looking to invest. We should keep that at the back of our mind. The second superpower that we have is that I know this is very familiar with all of us. We are great multipliers. So you give us something this much and we're able to multiply it. And it's just the rule of nature that we're blessed with. And I know you know what I'm talking about. The third thing I want to just point out is financial literacy is a muscle. So it might not be as strong in the beginning of your journey, but with the audience we're speaking with today, I know you've dabbled into some investments and you're trying to step to the next level. So the being able to explore and your instincts will become better and stronger on what it is you have appetite for. So about my own journey, my financial literacy was very key in the beginning. You cannot explore what you fear. So I had to get educated as much as possible. And not everything will appeal to you, and that's okay. Everybody has a different way of interpreting what they would be attracted to investment-wise. In the beginning, where I am now, I've had to make an investment thesis, right? And what's that? It's basically a guideline, a list of things that I've had to come up with to say, this is what I would like, from an investment standpoint. This is what I have appetite for. So I think that's always a place that is important, especially when you have extra income, extra disposable income. So I had to do that and have some investment thesis. And a simple rule of thumb that I have for myself is I don't invest in anything that I cannot explain to a 6-year-old. And I really mean that. And this is why crypto has eluded me till now. I'm very envious with the profits I'm seeing, but I can't explain it, unfortunately. And so I don't dabble into it. What I did do in the beginning was savings, and I'm sure it's very familiar with a lot of you. But then I moved on to saving in a different currency. So that's a different kind of investment, if you can call it. And you move away from one currency to another currency. It kind of locks value at a higher level for you. So saving was a big part. And as I grew in my career, my disposable income grew as well, I realized that I could take more risks. And so I started looking at T-bills, treasury bills. I started looking at mutual funds, even Forex domiciled mutual funds. So that's how the journey continued. And then as an angel investor, it's even more risk, right? You're not looking for rewards in year 1 or even in year 2. You might be in there 5 years and more. And with angel investing, you are invested in the founder and the entrepreneur, or the entrepreneur personally in their journey. You're mentoring them, you're coaching them. And with an angel investor journey, yes, the rewards are very big, but the risks are also very high as well. But there is a part of being an angel investor that feeds the nurturing part. And I think maybe that's why women make really good angel investors. I know Judy will agree with me. And it's very rewarding to see growth in any which way, because there's a nurturing part to being an angel investor. So that's how my journey has transcended over the years. I have more appetite for risk now. And, my resourcefulness by nature brings a unique spin on how I'm able to unlock more and more wealth for myself and my family.
Oh, I love that, Antoinette. It's evident from your investing journey that I think it does answer the question that women do invest. Maybe we just need to talk about it more and educate ourselves. So that brings me to my next question, and this one is for Odiri. In Nigeria, there is an evident gender financial inclusion gap, and that remains a constant challenge for women. And in terms of gender, women remain both underserved compared to men in all segments financially, from the bottom of the pyramid up to, high net worth. If you look at the list of billionaires in Africa, how many women do you see there? So that brings me to my question. What do you see as the main barrier to financial inclusion for women in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Bisola, for that question. We all know that financial inclusion is a national agenda, and more importantly, also closing the financial inclusion gender gap is very important. I stumbled on a recent research that shows that both across savings, payment, and even credit, the financial inclusion gap is really wide. So what you see is that about 36% of women have access to these financial products compared to about 46% of men. But the interesting thing about this research is that, what it tells us is that focusing on women as one of the key demographics is crucial to driving the financial inclusion agenda. So helping to close that gap, and that barrier is very important to enable even Nigeria as a whole and other countries to achieve their financial inclusion gap. So I'll be speaking to some of the barriers that we've seen that affect financial inclusion for women. One of them is limited access to financial products. And the truth is, most women reside in areas where there are limited access to financial services and products, and so this also affects their ability to engage with those products. We've also seen situations where even the financial products that exist do not take into consideration the unique needs and circumstances of women. I really like what Antoinette talked about, women being resourceful and being multipliers and adding value. And the truth is, across the life cycle of women in our career and in our finances, we have unique needs and circumstances. It is women who have career breaks. It is women who go on maternity leave. It is women who have caregiving responsibilities, taking care of families, not just even their children, but also even their older parents. It is also women who have longer life expectancy. So these events and these phases of our lives are usually not factored in designing financial products. And so it limits the ability of women to engage more effectively with the existing financial products that we have. We also have pay gap, which is also a barrier. The truth is women tend to earn less than men in similar roles. But I think the most interesting part is that even in informal sector, women are the ones who take up those roles in informal sector. And so there is few access to opportunities for growth and opportunities for financial securities that women are faced with. I also talk about financial literacy and confidence. We all know that to a large extent, when it comes to the financial products that exist in the market are complex, and women tend to have limited skills and knowledge. So sometimes when we say women tend to have limited skills and knowledge or financial literacy, it doesn't necessarily mean that all women are, not financially literate. But research has shown that most women, tend to have lower financial literacy level and confidence in managing financial products. And this also acts as a barrier when it comes to financial inclusion. And then let me also highlight the issue around cultural barriers and societal factors. And I know that to a large extent, a number of us have faced, or have seen situations where even when these financial products are available or are accessible, there are areas, there are countries, there are villages where women are not allowed to have banking products. You can't open a bank account in your name. You can't invest in your name. You can't even own properties. So even when those products are available and, they are within reach, to a large extent, these cultural barriers and societal norms, tend to hold men back from engaging in these financial products and services. So thank you very much, Bisola.
Thank you, Odiri. I loved listening to so many points you raised. Especially the cultural bias, it takes it gives us a different insights to what these gaps or why these gaps exist. Bukola, you work in the registrar business, and I assume that you've gained significant insight into, what the participation is like in the capital markets. So would you agree that there is, in fact, a significant gap in financial participation in the capital markets, between men and women? What's the, is there a difference in the amount of participation? What do you think why do you think this gap exists essentially?
Thank you very much, Bisola. There's indeed a notable gap in the financial participation between men and women today in the capital market. Following researches, data that is available to us within the registrar space, knowing that we handle databases of several clients. So we have qualified data that we use to assess all this information, and several factors contribute to all this gap between men and women. Odiria had mentioned quite a number of them, but I will be looking at it from the risk perspective. I'll look at our risk behavior and I'll use that to explain why I believe that gap exists between us. So in terms of risk tolerance, research has indicated that women on the average exhibit a lower risk tolerance compared to men. Now, this aversion to risk often leads to conservative investment strategies. If you remember Antoinette, when she started by saying when she started working, she had considerably disposable income, and she started with savings. A lot of us are very comfortable with saving, and a lot of us, also going back to Antoinette, women are multipliers. We have the talent for saving, for bringing things together. So with funds, because you want to take care of your family, you want to do a lot of things. So you have that ability to want to save. However, we are averse to the risk of investing, as against saving. So when you save, you just save, and today inflation rate is in double digits. You do not get interest. You put your monies in savings account, you put your monies in fixed income accounts, and then you have just single digit interest rates. You have not found a way of optimally, increasing your savings, thereby moving to other investment opportunities, which you would, get to know about today. We also have education and information. I'm going back to Antoinette. Antoinette said when she discovered that she was saving and needed to, optimally increase what she was earning, because she had increased her disposable income. She had to educate herself. She had to empower herself. She had to look for opportunities of optimally increasing her income, And so those are the kind of things that I believe women would need to immediately start coming up with, because I can say today from statistics that I have seen from data managed that 70% of women who even invest do not have a strategy around investments. They just invest in either bland fixed income, in fact, some people will just go and buy one safe public offer and just remain there, not thinking of anything, and go to these women's accounts. They have huge amounts of money sitting down in their accounts. This non-education, non-empowerment of ourselves has led to investment choices that we have limited ourselves to. Another one I would like to highlight is we have decided to also look at investment choices where we avoid potentially high risk investments. I think someone also mentioned treasury bills, federal market bonds. Federal government bonds are also some things that you look at. There are several other high yielding returns that you can see in investments. But because of our risk aversion and our risky nature, and not wanting to dabble into any risky thing, we just leave ourselves, in a very, very, very comfortable situation that we don't find ourselves, aspiring beyond expectation. Thank you. Thank you, Bisola.
Wow, Bukola, thank you very much for that. It was a real eye-opener. But now we've spoken about the gap in financial inclusion. We've spoken about the gap that is evident in the capital market. Now I wanted to speak about the gaps that exist when it comes to funding for women. So Antoinette, being one of the angel investors in the house, there is a funding gap for women entrepreneurs in Africa. There are many reports that showcase this. And despite their potential, because again, at the beginning of the session, you talk about the superpowers that women have. And a lot of people know we have these superpowers. So despite this potential, women still face challenges in accessing, funding for their projects, for their businesses, their new initiatives, for everything, even when it comes to traditional financing. So as a women-focused angel investor, what unique value do you think that women bring to the table and to the business landscape that people are overlooking?
Okay, thank you, Bisola. What unique value do women bring to the landscape that is being overlooked? I think the women themselves, and not to point fingers, we ourselves sometimes overlook our potential to stretch and ask for more. And this shows up even in negotiations with women, salary negotiations. If you put yourself, in the forefront and raise your hand, a lot of the times, you will get a chance to defend your case. What do I mean? I mean that it's without saying it. I think let's be honest and look inwards with this question and say, how much have I pushed, right, to go beyond my comfort zone? A lot of what Bukola spoke about was remaining in a bit of a comfort zone, what we're familiar with, what we're used to, the aversion to risk. I think that I'll give you an example of how this plays out in funding sometimes. Because we're in an angel investing community that is focused on women and women-led, we still have their male counterparts sometimes in the room as a co-founder. What we've seen is that a lot of the women that are founders, they themselves have done much better when they have a push from the other gender, because there's a stretch that comes naturally with them. Not saying that two co-founders who are women are not, knocking it out the park, but sometimes it's evident that there's that extra push that comes, and it's a great symbiotic relationship. But I think with the women, if you find yourself, we're great entrepreneurs, by the way. I think I read a research that said about 70 or 75% of women who are entrepreneurs love their job. It's not the same thing with working in a workplace, right? It's not the same thing. In fact, the numbers, I think, are below 40% with being satisfied as a woman in the workplace. When we are in charge, when we are the boss, we do so much better. When we are calling the shots, when we step up to the plate, we do so much better. So I'll encourage, us to raise up your hand, take that risk, ask the question. The worst that can happen is that they'll say no. That's the honest truth. Let's not mull over all the possibilities of it not happening before we ask. So yes, it's true, there is a funding gap. There are a lot of funds now that are very focused on women. I also think another thing is that we need to come very prepared. Sometimes the men folk are very prepared with their numbers. That's the honest truth. They're coming with all the sharp numbers. We're coming with the softer points, which is great. Value is inherent. That's how we work. That's how we are. We look for inherent value. But let's tie those inherent values and nuggets to naira and kobo, to dollar, to pound, to euro. Let's tie it back to money. I think we make really great entrepreneurs, and the funding is coming in. The gap is still there, but we know how to support each other. That's another thing. And because we know how to multiply, if we give the right numbers, people can see the value. So let's just sharpen on that end what the numbers look like. And I think the funding is still coming. One of our communities has actually rolled out a fund that's very ambitious. We're investing in that fund now. So things are changing. It's a bit slow, but yeah, things are changing. But I'm asking that we step up and we take the challenge, raise our hand. What's the worst that can happen? It's a no, or come back later. And that's fine. Everybody needs sales skills. Please go and get sales skills as well. If you're a woman who is leading a business, who's looking for funding, go and take a course in sales. It does wonders to your career. Don't say that you have salespeople. Be the first salesperson in your company. Go and take those sales skills. Learn how to negotiate strongly. Bring the numbers and the value, and then you can win. That's yeah. Thank you.
So many gems in that statement, so many. I was writing down as you were speaking. First is that even back to our topic, unlocking the potential, the world potential for women. You said basically we are the ones with the power. We have to unlock our potential as well. Women are great multitaskers. We are great problem solvers. We have to learn, you said sales. Don't say you have a salesperson, be your salesperson. So many gems in that statement. I love it. Okay, so now we need to speak about the opportunities for women because I'm sure a lot of people are here and they want to actually know where to put their money, what they can do, what opportunities actually exist for them. So they don't just leave their money on the table. So over to you, Bukola. Previously, you hinted
Okay.
at the you hinted at the multitude of opportunities in the capital markets for women. So can you share more insights into what these opportunities are and what steps do you think can be taken to encourage women to participate more in the capital markets?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so United Capital will roll out a number of their products. So there are several financial products here. You have the mutual funds. You have several types of funds. Now, I'll take a little bit of time to explain. So in savings here, you save 100,000. You get a interest rate of 3%, and that 3%, trust me, so it go up to 30 naira or maybe 30 naira. And then you save in a money market fund. I'm specifically mentioning money market fund now. And today, the current interest rate is about 26%, and most of the money market funds usually do not do either less than 3 to 6%. So you're saving in an instrument that is 19%. I mean, that's a fantastic one. Then you have bonds. Most times, bonds, they will take your funds for about 3 to 5, at times 10 years, give you principal payments. So if you had a huge sum of money now that just landed, in your account, and then you have children you have to send to school, just invest one of those amounts in the bond, and then you have semi-annual interest payments, and then you can now have redemption where you invest in other places. You also have government treasury. You have treasury bills. Their interest yields are significantly high. You also have government bonds. This comes out every month. Their interest rates are also high, and also very secure investments. All these are opportunities. Then you have the stock market. Now, the stock market is for the bold. You can make a lot of money in the stock market, even though you can lose a lot of money in the stock market. But I would not advise you to go into the stock market without having a financial advisor. All this I'm saying in addition to taking off risk, behavior. So this time you're deciding, I want to optimally, maximize my returns. What other investment opportunities, do I have? You can invest in stocks as well. There are several other financial instruments that you can invest in. As registrars, you have several accounts that you can invest, several companies. We have about 164 companies currently quoted on the Nigerian stock and the Nigerian exchange group. You also have private companies who do not want to come public. They are on the NASD. You have the FMDQ where they trade bonds. They are set. So if you go to all these, you see different companies and decide where you want to, invest in. But please, a note of caution here, carry along your financial advisor so that you can be advised properly. We would also advise that when you want to invest in stocks, there are some technical potentials that you should look at. Make sure you invest in high liquid stocks. Make sure you invest in companies that have potentials, companies within our country today. Today, we are heavily dependent on dollars, right? Meanwhile, the manufacturing sector has the opportunity to begin to grow. So there are some companies you can look at, do or die, this company will survive because everybody will eat, right? Everybody would live, right? So there are some, segments or sectors that you can also look at when investing in stocks, and several other, opportunities. I think I'll stop here and give opportunity to others to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bukola. Oh, I loved what you said. In this economic climate, you have no business letting your money stay idle in a savings account. There are so many opportunities in the capital markets for you to grow your income. So I love that. I love that you mentioned that. Again, like you said, there are 164 companies listed on the stock exchange, and they actually yielding good returns. So take that opportunity, please. I have another question. This one is for Odiri. So Odiri is part of the Forbes Financial Council, and she's released a couple of articles. And one of them that I read, I found very interesting, being a career person myself. You said that career success does not necessarily translate to financial success for women. And I found that very intriguing. If you're doing well in your career, how are you not doing well financially? So I would like you to elaborate more on this. And what steps can women actually take to make sure that these two actually align?
Thank you very much, Bisola. Let me start with providing a bit of context to that article. So today, women grow in their career to C-suite executive, to become board members. However, what we have seen, my own personal experience, also what research has also shown, is that while women are growing in their career and attaining this senior level executive position, their income is not translating to wealth generation. So to a large extent, they are earning more. But if you look at their financial balance sheets, there is a gap between the fact that they're earning more and their financial balance sheets. And there was a research article that states that even when the pay gap is closed, the wealth gap still exists and is also very significant. So the article was just looking at what is the reason behind this gap between career success and financial success. And one of the things that I highlighted in that article, and I think is something that has played out in the conversation today, is our conservative investment strategy. And to a large extent, women tend to adopt conservative investment strategy. Antoinette talked about when she started investing and starting with saving, starting with treasury bills. Bukola also alluded to the fact that a lot of time people leave their money in their savings account. Research has shown that women tend to invest in low-risk assets, such as fixed deposit, treasury bills, or even leave their money in their savings account, earning little, rather than investing in high-risk opportunities such as equities, fixed income, and mutual funds. And the implication of this is that over time, inflation tends to erode the value of what you have to a large extent earned from your career. So your income capability is now being eroded by inflation. Move from low risk asset like these investment options to more inflation adjusted risky assets, assets or opportunities that help you to grow the value of your investment at the end of the day. Another major reason that we identify is the issue around lack of confidence in financial decision making. And this one I've seen play out, as a professional investment advisor. So women have always assumed that when it comes to financial matters, such as investing, as long as it's not their core competence, they just believe that they can't be an expert in it or they can't learn it. So you see somebody who is a medical doctor, a very reputable medical doctor, somebody who, to cut a human being is high risk, but they're so comfortable doing that. But when it comes to money, they say, no, this is not my area. I don't want to deal with that. Investing is not mine, but you're surprised that you're a professional. You are in a high risk job for engineering, oil and gas, medicine, all these big and profession that we admire. But when it comes to money, they will say, no, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to, and then you wonder. So what you now see over time is that the income that they have earned from being a high level professional is eroded over time because they are more focused on investing conservatively as a result of their lack of confidence in taking, more complex financial decisions. And then I'll also speak to another important area, that we've seen and which Antoinette also made reference to is the issue around limited participation in wealth. I call it wealth accelerating opportunities, because the truth is investing is a ladder. You start from low risk, you get to a level of middle risk, and then you get to, what Antoinette called very high risk, such that, you don't get your return in 1-2 years. You tend to get your return probably in 5-7 years. But sometimes when those returns come, they are really significant, but at the end of the day, you see that women tend to play less, in those particular opportunities and, in those particular platforms. So what is really the key here to this context? While we are promoting more female participation in senior level executive and in board membership, we also want to encourage more women to pay attention to their finances and to invest in a way that enables them to accumulate wealth over a period of time. It's not a quick win. It's not that, oh, you invest today, you become a billionaire tomorrow. No, it is basically saying that over time, your income should be able to grow. As you're growing in your career, your income is growing, and then your financial balance sheet is stronger. And this is important because, women tend to live longer than men, and you don't want to get to a point in time where you're no longer working, but now you have to sacrifice your standard of living simply because, your earnings is not catching up and those earnings are not coming again. And yet you now have to sacrifice your standard of living. So at the end of the day, while we are growing in our career, we also need to be mindful of the fact that we need to invest in such a way that over time we are able to accumulate wealth such that, at retirement, we are able to take care of ourselves. Most women will say, I have other retirement options, I don't need to save for that. I don't need to prepare for it. But, sometimes those things may not necessarily work, and a lot of the time, while we earn so much, we might spend those monies on someone else, maybe our children, our parents, our spouses, even on things we love, the tangible things that we love. But when it comes to investing for our future, to a large extent, there is a gap there. And so the essence of this webinar is just basically to remind us that, we earn so much, irrespective of whether there is a pay gap, but we are growing in our career, and irrespective of the level we are in our career, we also, more focused on growing. But more importantly, also, we need to pay attention to ensuring that we're investing in a maximum way, that our income is growing, our investment income is growing, as well as our portfolio value is growing. And one way that, you can help address this gap is really to work with a professional advisor to help you overcome this issue. The truth is, sometimes we assume that women are risk averse, but I realize that, we may not necessarily be risk averse. We are just risk conscious, and our entire nature helps us to be risk conscious and to manage those risks. So, but most of the time, when it comes to money and investing, that risk consciousness play out as being risk averse. So working with a professional advisor, basically someone independent of you, helping you to assess the risk, to dimension it. So, and then help you to identify those investment options, that are suitable to you, depending on your risk appetite level, but at the same time, you're not sacrificing return. You're not sacrificing your wealth accumulation strategy at the end of the day. Thank you.
Beautiful, Odiri. So many things you mentioned there, so many eye openers, and I think a lot of the speakers have said it today, that women tend to be risk averse and we are conservative in the way we invest. So I hope everyone's taking that down. We should invest in wealth accelerating opportunities. So I really love that you mentioned that, Odiri. I would go to Antoinette next. There was something Odiri also said in her presentation. She mentioned even the confidence that investors or female investors need to have to invest. And I read an article once, where the founder of a women-led or women-focused angel investing network, she said that self-doubt is one of the major challenges she has observed from women entrepreneurs in Nigeria and the world, to be honest. So as an angel investor, how do you address this issue, and how do you, address this mindset shift within your portfolio companies?
Thank you, Bisola. So with the angel investing framework, like I said, there's mentoring and coaching. So it's not like you're throwing money at the founder or the entrepreneur and then hoping to make a profit in a few years. You're actually actively involved in helping them and nurturing them and their business. So we actually have a framework where you will bring the best of your expertise to the table and be paired, right, with a founder or entrepreneur. There is a program I'm a part of called the mentor-driven, platform. So it's mentor-driven angel investing, which is to say that you don't take a back seat at all. So if you find that your founder or the entrepreneur is lacking in some of these skills, you help to coach them around those areas. You are paired in one-on-one sessions, and you speak to specific areas of improvement for them. It goes a long way to molding them, not just in their hard skills, but also on the soft skills as well, that come, really critical in order for them to be successful in their business. So that's how the framework goes. Yes, we're giving you money, but we're not just sitting back and thinking that you know it all. We want to make sure that we handhold you in some of the weakest parts of the value chain. If that is an area of how you pitch, then we have support for you around creating your pitch deck and being able to use the right kind of tools to pass your message across. If it's in the area of creating a business plan, we put up our hand and you say, hey, we can help with the business plan, and you sit with them and you critique what they've done and you give them input, and it comes out stronger through various iterations. If it's being able to put their financials together properly, we have volunteers in the Angel Network who are super, with finance, like Odiri and Bukola, who can chart the finance properly. You put up your hand and you say, I volunteer, to give you some coaching or some mentoring around how your finance portfolio is looking or your projections are looking. And we have a bunch of things. I think there are about 7 or 8 of them, if I'm not wrong. And we go across each one and people put up their hands and say, you know what, I can help. I can help with this. So they walk away, even though I don't put money in your business per se, I've put something of value in you, right? And it translates to your business at the end of the day. So that's the framework that we use. And that's what we hope is growing the competence, the confidence, the knowledge, the bullishness that is required for business. Business is cutthroat, right? Any entrepreneur will tell you it's hard stuff. And you have to be built tough as well for it. So that's how we approach it.
Thank you for that, Antoinette. I love listening to that, and that's very strategic, and I'm sure it's worked out very well for your portfolio companies. Just before I head to the next question, please remember that we have a question and answers segment right after this conversation. So if you have any pressing questions for our speakers, please drop them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen on Zoom. And then on YouTube, please use the comment section. We can already see the questions coming in. And I'm very glad, everyone, that you like our choice of speakers. Love to hear that. So we'll go back to the discourse now, and in a few minutes, we will start the Q&A. So please drop your questions and we'll answer as many as we can. All right, so my next question is for the beautiful Bukola. You're a director at Africa Prudential, and I know that you've highlighted the potential of technology to enhance service delivery in the capital markets. So I'm curious, how can technology be leveraged to address the specific needs of women? And then what role can it play in encouraging more women to invest in the capital markets?
Hey, thank you, Bisola. Thank you. Okay, so I particularly like this question. Yeah. Yesterday I was in Abuja. So I have an Uber app, right, on my phone. And I had to, move around in Abuja yesterday and found out that this same Uber that you use in Lagos is the same Uber that you, and then I just had a second thought to say, how do we connect where I am with the driver? In fact, I had an issue because I got into the wrong Uber. And then he had to drop me back. And, everything was just so seamless. And that's highlighting technology. I use that example to say that a lot of things can be done. If I wanted to move from point A to point B, whether in Lagos, Abuja, or outside the country, I would go, irrespective of the channel, yeah? But technology, which is Uber, is what has enhanced that journey, for me. And it's the same thing everywhere. Right now, there's the buzz of CBN raising capitalization for the banks. All the banks have to meet with a certain capitalization so that we have solid, institutions in the country, and we do not fall prey of institutions robbing, investors of their investments. And so that's another opportunity where we're having to invest in all these banks. I use that as an example because if you had an app, a banking app on your phone, GTB has started. If you just go into your GTB, they tell you, do you want a slice of the offer? They even called it bonus. And so you go into your app and you see bonus. And then you click bonus. It tells you, it helps you navigate how to apply for shares in GTB. The same thing with Access Bank. Access Bank is also out. Everything is done on your phone. That is what technology has done. Now, for investors and to help us educate ourselves more as investors or prospective investors, let us utilize these technology opportunities. We have several communities on the internet today for investing. You even have communities specified and tailored for women. You have role models as women that you like. So you see Bisola's fine face, you see Antoinette's fine face, or you see any financial institution. They always have an investment, portion or column where they give tips of how to invest, or even empowerment sessions like the webinar we're having right now. Opportunities are everywhere, and technology has come, to leverage all these things. Also, if I wanted to go to trading, so I trade, I'm a broker by profession, interestingly, and I trade my shares and my stocks myself. That is what technology has done. I am not working in a stockbroking firm, yet I can choose to buy and purchase and sell the stocks that I want by myself. How and why? Because I've leveraged technology, or the company has leveraged technology. And so all we need to do is to log in and then trade and, do all of our, desires ourselves. Same with your banking application. All these things would not have been possible if you didn't leverage technology. So what am I saying? I mean, technology is something that we shouldn't shy away from. I will always say, if you give your phone to a 1-year-old child today, he will navigate that phone and go to a game session and play games. So why are we women running away from technology, saying it's too complicated, it's too this, it's too that? All that can make your life easy. I smiled when Antoinette said she has not been able to go into Bitcoin and all those things. They are very interesting. I sat down on my phone one day and studied it, and loved. So I do a lot of things out of being very inquisitive. And so I was very inquisitive about Bitcoin and all of it. And guess what? I invested funds that I probably didn't need, in Bitcoin and all those funny things. And I'm earning. But what I've done is I've managed my risk to say I'm not so, empowered, or I'm not so educated in this area. So I would limit my investment to a certain extent. But in doing that, I'm also exposing myself. I'm trying to empower myself and know about all these things. Today, technology can teach you anything. Today, technology can take you anywhere. Today, technology can expose you to so many things. So I'd like us to use this opportunity to, embrace technology as well. I mean, we're registrars. We manage databases of well over 5 million shareholders. How is this possible? How are we able to capture those that purchase shares, those that sell shares, people that have changed their names, and all those things like that? You couldn't have done that, or it won't be possible if you didn't leverage technology. All I'm just trying to say is let's leverage technology as much as possible. It will really expose us. Let's learn. Let's follow our role models, women particularly, because this is a women talk area, and let's learn everything we want to learn, improve our investing culture, improve and get everything. We can even have a group, where you want to keep targets, track behaviors, track achievements, and all those. And with that, you'll be able to record success and achievements within a defined timeline. Thank you, Bisola.
Wow, thank you, Bukola. So many things you mentioned. One of the questions I was going to ask you, just for my own personal reasons, you already touched on, and that's definitely, the bank recapitalization. I can imagine that a lot of people have seen it everywhere and they're wondering what it's about. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's something everyone can key into, and fantastically, plugging in our securities business here, United Capital Securities is actually where you can actually engage and buy these shares, we are helping people with rights issues and, public offers. So if you're interested, reach out to us. Okay, end of plugin. Another plugin. We have Invest Now as well. Speaking of technology, United Capital has an investment platform, which is, an all-in-one investment platform. So if you want to buy mutual funds, you want to buy stocks, you want to even buy trusts, or open a trust for your family, you can come to invest now. Another plugin, there's Invert by Africa Prudential. You know, if you want to got the thumbs up from Bukala. We have even by Africa Prudential if you want to actually track your portfolio. So there's so many opportunities available to us, women, men, everyone. So educate yourself. You know, nowadays women, when we do something that we think is tech point, we always say women in STEM, you know, women in STEM, women in tech. So let's keep, you know, embracing that. I love everything you said, Bukala. So we have our last question before we go straight to the Q&A, and this is for Madam Adiri. The very reason why we're here, you know, the umbrella here is This Girl Invest campaign. And I know it was launched by the asset management business last year. So I want you to tell us more about the This Girl Invest campaign. Where did it stem from? Why did you put that together? What are you hoping to achieve with it? And I also know there's a tie to women and retirement. And I'd like you to mention that because earlier on, you spoke about, you know, women living longer than men and how we need to plan strategically for, you know, retirement. So I'd like you to just speak more on what the campaign is and how it ties to retirement planning.
All right, thank you very much, Bisola, and thank you to all the amazing speakers. I'm really enjoying listening to every one of you. So this Girl Invest campaign is an initiative that is focused on two main areas. And the interesting thing is that those two main areas cut across all that we've discussed today, knowledge and confidence. So when it comes to women and investing, these are the two areas where we have identified that there is a gap. In terms of knowledge, financial literacy level is low. You know, women not having the required skill and understanding to be able to dimension financial concept, financial instrument like equity, stock, and things like that. It doesn't mean that, you know, naturally we are not educated. We might be educated in our professional areas. We might have the skills in our professional areas. But when it comes to the issue around investing and financial concept, you know, there is a gap there. And then the other area is confidence. We've talked about this, you know, across that women to a large extent tend to hold back from investing in high risk opportunities because they lack the confidence. So knowledge and confidence are two areas where the Invest Now campaign is really focused on. A major part of this webinar really is to help us build confidence. So when I listen to Antonia saying she's going into all these high risk investment opportunities, or people are saying, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, is to tell you that if women are doing it, then you can do it. You know, so you are more inspired to see that, you know, oh, I'm also earning a lot, you know, and there are various investment opportunities that, you know, I've been running away from.
Odiri, you're frozen. We can't seem to hear you anymore.
Learning. You also tells me that I can also go and learn, you know, and start investing in it. So this is an area where we really want to focus on for the This Girl Invest campaign, both knowledge and confidence. And I think that to a large extent, you know, part of our plans going on is to, you know, ensure that, you know, we build a community where women can learn and learn within their comfort zone. You know, so sometimes, you know, Antonia talked about the fact that, you know, boys or men talk about investing, you know, at every point in time. The truth is that because they are comfortable within that space, it's easier even when you're not doing it, you know, but they can talk about it and others can learn from there. So we want to also build that community with This Girl Invest campaign to also ensure that women are properly equipped in a safe space. You know, they can learn without, you know, anyone putting pressure on them. They can learn without feeling that, oh, because I don't know it, I don't belong. And they can learn at their own pace. You know, another part of the campaign is the Wealth for Women Fund, which was launched in 2017. And the essence of this fund, I talked about the fact that there are financial products that don't speak to the needs and circumstances of women. You know, we talked about the life cycle of women, that you find women taking career breaks, you find women, you know, having to leave work for one reason or the other. And also, we find women tending to live longer than men. So the essence of the Wealth for Women Fund is really to give women an opportunity to plan for their retirement. You know, with as little as 10,000 naira, you can begin savings, you know, you can begin investing, you know, for the long term. And we don't want to focus on short-term investment opportunity, because the truth is that when it comes to savings, is basically meeting your short-term needs. So the truth is that women save. and we save a lot, and we save more than the men, but what we are focused on is investing for the long term. So you are setting aside as little as 10,000 naira, maybe every day, every month, or every week, towards your long-term financial objective, like retirement. So these are monies that you want to begin to set aside so that you're not even thinking about them to meet your day-to-day needs, but you're thinking of them to say, okay, even if I'm not doing anything now, I can start with the Wealth for Women Fund with as little as 10,000 naira. I begin to build a future for myself. At the end of the day, I can will this investment to my children, or I can use it to take care of myself in the future. And so this is really important for us, the building knowledge in women and helping them, increase their financial literacy capacity, empowering women with the confidence that they need to manage their own investment, and confidently make financial decisions, and also creating a product that brings all this together, that women can engage with more effectively, to be able to, achieve financial security. So this is really the essence of the This Girl Invest campaign. And we've seen that it has been successful over time. This is the first series of the webinar. The goal is to bring more amazing women to engage with this community of women, to share their success story. We listen to the women share their success story with regards to investing. Sometimes the reason why men invest more is because they listen to other people share their investment story. We want to build a community where women are free to share their story. I've lost money in equities. I've gained money in equities. I've lost money in crypto. I've gained money in, you want to be able to, share those within a safe space, and empower other women to have that confidence, that they need to invest. I like what Bisola said about self-doubt. And the truth is, the same self-doubt, the same lack of confidence is what holds us back, to also take advantage of those opportunities. Somebody said that last year, the equities market did about 43%. The question you ask yourself is, to what extent did you play in the equities market? This year, the equities market has done above 30%. Irrespective of how the interest rate environment has been rising, it hasn't gotten to that level of 30%, but yet we've had equities do more than 30%. And even over time, it's not just once in a year, over time, the goal is not to invest in something today to make a quick buck. No, the goal is to build an investment culture such that, you are perpetually plugged to those investment opportunities, and you don't lose out at the end of the day. So the Wealth for Women Fund has equities in it. It has fixed income in it. It's a bouquet, that you can, with as little as 10,000 naira, depending on your timing, you can start taking advantage of some of those investment options and plan for your long-term financial objectives, such as retirement. So thank you, Bisola, for the opportunity to share this.
You, Odiri, very well said. So many things to draw out from what you spoke about. Even the last thing you said about the equities market booming. I think when we're discussing, we realized that the Nigerian stock market was #1 in the world at the beginning of the year. I think we're what number are we, Bukola? Number 2 or 3 now?
For the year, #1 last year.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So again, it's really booming, and there's a lot of opportunities you might be sleeping on. Also, what Odiri said about the This Girl Invest campaign, we don't want to gatekeep information. We want women to feel safe, to have conversations about what we're investing in, what has burnt our hands, just get a safe space to discuss all of these things. Nobody is hiding information from anybody. We all want to meet at the top. And again, like she said, the Wealth for Women Fund, with just 10,000 naira, you can start investing. And more interestingly is that you can actually set it up on Invest Now, another plugin. You can set up on Invest Now to, fund recurrently. So you can actually just set it up to deduct money from your savings account. You can say 10,000 naira every day, 1,000 naira every day. You can make it daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you want, whatever pace you want. So that way you are consciously investing towards your future and retirement. Okay, so we've clearly enjoyed this conversation so much that we have exhausted a lot of our time, and we have so many questions on YouTube and via Zoom. So I'll just start taking them one by one. Again, thank you to the speakers. This has been a wonderful conversation. There's somebody online, Chelsea. Please send your question via the Q&A. We're in listen only mode, please. So any questions you have, please use the Q&A box. So I'm going to take the first question. The very first question we have is from an anonymous attendee, and it says, there have been quite a few references to women getting financial literacy. Where can I be getting structured financial literacy? So I can respond to this one quickly. This conversation can happen, this girl invests, we're going to be having this webinars, like Odiri said, periodically, so you get information. Alternatively, you can actually follow us on social media. Any of our social medias are United Capital PLC. We always drop, information there. You can check out our website, unitedcapitalplcgroup.com. You'll see all of this in our the email we'll send you after, and you get financial advice from us. You can also reach out to us through our customer service and ask any questions you want, and you get that answered. Okay, another question we have is for Antoinette. And this person says, as an angel investor, how do you decide which business to invest in? And if I had a great business idea, how best can I approach an angel investor? Antoinette, if you're there, would you like to respond to this just briefly, please? I think, okay, she's in now. Okay. Hi, Antoinette.
Hello.
Can I take the
Internet
question
is
again?
interning. No, I can see the question on my side. So it was about how do I decide which business to invest in?
Yes.
So like I said, I have an investment thesis. Thank you for the question. I have an investment thesis that I go by. So some of the things that are on my investment thesis is a list of things that appeal to me or do not appeal to me. So for instance, as an angel investor, I will decide for myself what is, for instance, how much can I wait for an exit, right? So a big part of being an angel investor, an investor, whether it's a VC or whatever, is an exit. You're not just there for the ride all the way. At some point, you want your investment to mature and grow, and you need to have an exit plan. But how long can you wait for it? That's always something that comes into play. If the founder or the entrepreneur, or rather the founder in this case, doesn't really have an understanding of how their exit strategy plays out, it's kind of like a red flag, because it means my money will be stuck or it will be lost, or I never really get the returns that I'm looking for. Also, some of the things that I look out for is how much can I invest in the next round within the same company? So if you understand the way investments work, they go by rounds. Do I want to completely exit, or do I want to go into the next round? How much do I want to go into the next round with? These are all my funds. These are funds that I can be placing somewhere else, but I need to make the decision whether this is where I want to continue to place it. Also, how much do I have to invest in any one financial year or over the next X number of years? That also helps me as well. Another subtle point, but I know this is table shaking, but I don't invest in solo founders because I just think it's too hard. Why do you want to do this thing alone? It's weird. So if you're a solo founder, no shade, but kudos to you. But it's just too much risk. It's too much risk in one person. Building a company is so difficult. Look at the biggest companies out there. A lot of them did it with 2-3 people, but I mean, if you can do it on your own, great. But, I need to make the calls on where my money goes. And so it's part of my investment thesis. There's a whole bunch of things, quite honestly. My list is about maybe 10 or 11 things long, and it's changed over time. So as I see and understand more about the investing landscape, I make additions or I remove things. One very key thing is that I hardly invest in an area that I'm comfortable completely with. It's kind of like a way to push myself out of my comfort zone. So I go into other industries, and it allows me to learn their value chain. and it allows me to appreciate any investments that I put into any aspects of that value chain. So I also like to look for very complementary type of solutions. What do I mean by that? I'm not looking for one extreme of the value end or the other extreme, which is to say, I'm not very keen on last mile, and I'm not very keen on the almost very obvious things in the beginning. I'm interested in the middle. So if you're a company that is allowing or enabling other businesses to stay in business, I'm interested. So if you're like a middleware, for instance, that's always very key, because oh, you can't do without this verification software, you can't do without this very particular kind of integral component on the middleware. And banking infrastructures are built on a lot of those types of things, where all you see is the front end, and then there's a huge back end, but then there's the middleware as well. Those are also parts of the things in my investment thesis. So yeah. So that's, I don't know if it's how best can I approach an angel investor. Okay, so I'm assuming that the person that asks this question is a founder, and so it differs from one investor to another. So this is me telling you my own, another investment thesis. All I would say is that you bring the best of the value that you're offering, match it with the numbers, and it appeals to different investors in different ways. People are looking for different things. There's no one size fits all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope that answered your question, Anonymous Azeli. Thank you, Antoinette. So we have another question, and this one's for Bukola. The person mentioned your name specifically. Well done on the choice of speakers. Thank you very much. Many of our girl child pay less attention to investments growing up compared to their male counterparts. What kind of deliberate nurturing should parents give their girl child, especially strategic investment knowledge, like Bukola mentioned? Bukola, I would really love you to answer this, but please know we are pressed for time, so let's just keep it a little brief. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, one of the things that I think would help, and I think I also manage that in my home, is I deliberately and intentionally invest for the children, and they are part of the investment. So when we are buying particular, in fact, if it's a holiday and they get funds, we already know where to place those funds. So those are the things you can intentionally start doing. And so at this time, even a 7-year-old child already knows that when he gets his funds, or wherever he gets any money, or even comes to you to say, Daddy, I want to polish your shoes for 1 week. And Dad says, why? I need 2,000 naira and I want to buy a mini smartwatch, because mommy says I can't have a smartwatch and the cost of the watch is 2,000. And I've already calculated 250 per polishing one shoe per day. I'm going to get this. So if you intentionally carry your girl child along in your savings plan and hers, it will also help the child, to develop a savings culture. And before you know it, when the money amounts to something reasonable, you are also telling them that now that your funds have gotten to this level, I'm going to move it from here. And all this I do with my children. I'm going to take it away from here and I'm going to invest, because you're going to get higher returns. And it also helps them in their academics, because when they get to class where they deal with business studies, some people go into commercial, they are able to relate and align with what is taught in class. Yesterday, one of my children asked me why I go for annual general meetings, that every company should have an annual general meeting once. I had to, take my time to explain, to say we're a registrar organization and then we have several clients. So what it then means is that they're paying attention to what you're doing at home, to what you're involving them with, and they begin to align it with the realities of life wherever they find themselves. So let them also begin to have a savings culture, a savings plan, open a mutual fund account. Don't save money for them. Their education, a lot of them are don't save money in banks. At the end of the day, they're not going to earn anything. A lot of them are going to higher institutions. Begin to plan for their education, and you have to strategically plan, because today, school fees was how much 3 years ago? How much is it now? How much is higher institution? So if you do not put a strategy around all these things and involve the child, it might be pretty difficult. But trust me, if you involve the child, you're intentional, both of you, either a male or a female, you will be able to do. And when you have trained a child with savings habits, with diversification in different investment culture, you'll be shocked that when that child becomes or goes to the earning class, you don't need anybody to tell him or her to start saving. I mean, I started saving when I was 7, and I mean, it has become a natural thing to me. So if you start with a child at this time, it becomes part of the child, and then both you and the child, would enjoy the fruits of what you have done. Thank you.
Oh, I love that, Bukola. Teach them while they're young, and it will not depart from them. I hope that's what the Bible said it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have so many questions. Well, we might not be able to take all of them, but I'll take some that I think, would that are very important. We have one from, let me take the one from YouTube, but I find this one very interesting. The person's name is Osmax, and it says, I had a chat with a female colleague with 2 masters, and apparently she did not know what investment for retirement was. Funny enough, she hated her job and had saved over 30 million naira, well, she puts in bracket naira equivalent. How would you advise her? Can she start planning for retirement with that amount? Odi, I feel like this is a question for you. So would you like to take this? And please, briefly, time is not on our side, unfortunately. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Busola, and thank you for that question. So yes, 30 million seems like a large amount of money to even start with. So you don't necessarily have to wait to have 30 million or have a large amount of money. Like we earlier said, with as little as 10,000 naira, you can start investing. And the good thing about whether it's equities, whether it's fixed income, whether it's mutual funds, is you can start where you are, and you can start with as little as any amount that you have, as little as 10,000 naira or as little as even $100. So we have products, that you can start investing with as little as $100. So tell your friend that, yes, she has done 30 million, which is a very, in short, I'm already clapping for her. It's a good one, even though it's just in savings, but she can start investing that 30 million to maximize the return. She doesn't need to, continue to keep that money in the savings account. Any of our mutual funds, today we have the money market fund, which is returning 9% and 19%. And I know one of the questions that someone asks is, do you have any product that is doing 19%? So yes, we have the money market fund doing 19%. And it's also a product that can be suitable for your friend who currently already has 30 million. So with 30 million, you're earning 19%. That means in a year, you're almost earning almost about she can start now. She can start with what she has, and then she can start that. Thank you.
Perfect, perfectly answered. And again, 30 million is actually a lot of money. With 10,000 naira, you can literally start investing in a lot of our mutual funds. Our being United Capital, you can start investing with just 10,000 naira. And even when you're trading stocks, you can actually start with any amount. So nothing is too small, really. Just make sure you're consistent. We've had a couple of questions speaking about apologies. We have some questions speaking about dollar income fund. Do we have any dollar income funds? And yes, we do. We have 2 currently. We have our Nigerian Euro Bond Fund. You can check that out on our investment platform, Invest Now. We also have the Global Fixed Income Fund. So if you're interested, you can check them out. We have an interesting one from Michael Omubo. I think women should invest in the riskiest asset, like stocks. With very strong risk management. That way they gain speed with minimal risks. Okay. Secondly, the quality of financial advisors in Nigeria leaves a lot to be desired. Emphasis on relying on a financial advisor will get you in trouble. One needs to partake in a personal study on investments and environment. Mr. Michael, I beg to differ. United Capital, plugging us again, we are your go-to financial partner. You will never be led astray. If you have any questions, reach out to any of us on this panel for starters, but even send us a message and we'll always guide you in the right direction. We have a very strong an experienced research team, and they always give insights about the markets. They even guide you on, what to buy, what to hold, what to sell. So if you work with the right financial investors like United Capital, you're in good hands. We have we actually have a lot of questions asking about the recording of this webinar. It will be sent right after. We would upload it on YouTube and send the links to you via email. We have actually gone way over time, and I think maybe we should wrap it up here. All the questions that have been sent to us, we would try to respond to. You can send them to us via email. You can send to assetmanagement@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com. I would send we will send an email afterwards, and we would have all of this information. So if you have any of your questions, we would respond to them. So thank you, everyone. We actually went over time. We wanted to keep this at 1 hour, but the conversation was just so juicy that we kept discussing and going over time. Thank you very much to our speakers, Odiri Ogini for putting this together. Thank you, Bukola, for bringing your lights to this room. And Antoinette, I just love the angle you brought to this conversation, because it's not just the capital markets. You're also an angel investor, and you actually actively invest in women. So it's just a beautiful mix. Thank you so much for indulging us. Everyone who actually took the time to spend this hour and 15 minutes with us, thank you so much. Thank you for engaging. I'm very impressed by the number and the quality of the questions that were sent. Thank you very much. We're going to do this again for sure. And then if you have any comments, have any feedback, please let us know, and let us know how you want us to improve it. Any topics you want us to treat, we are here for you. And thank you very much, everyone. If you want to reach out to us on social media, just check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are at United Capital. And then thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you to our speakers once again. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Please check out your emails, because we will be sending the recording and other call to actions on there. So thank you so much. And we've come to the end of our webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Antoinette, Bukola, and Bisola. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bisola, Bukola,
Thank you.
and thanks to everyone that participated. I appreciate it. I enjoyed myself. I've actually been responding to some of the questions, typing responses. So
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, ladies. Bye. Bye.
Bye.